Azerbaijan, and all the different religions and leaders are out to meet him and pay him homage. The Dalai Lama at the Vatican meeting with the Pope. Who does he represent? Eastern mysticism. The Romanian Patriarch meeting with the Pope. In the first visit by a Roman pontiff to a mainly Orthodox country in nearly 1,000 years, the Pope embraced Romania's Orthodox Patriarch and declared the time has come to put every form of fear and suspicion between their churches behind them. Pope's Romanian visit set stage for possible Russian trip. Mindful of his advancing years and with a trip to Moscow in mind, Pope John Paul II pushed ahead Sunday with efforts to break down barriers with Orthodox Christians. The Pope's visit, part of his drive for reconciliation among the various Christian denominations as the new millennium approaches, has spurred hopes for greater unity between the Roman Catholic and Orthodox churches in Romania, despite the conflict in neighboring Yugoslavia. Pope John Paul II's weekend visit to India concluded today in an atmosphere of religious harmony and unity. The Pope received a reverent welcome from leaders of Hinduism and 7 other faiths. In turn, Indian leaders of the Hindu, Buddhist, Sikh, Muslim, Jain, Parsi, Jewish, and Baha'i faiths extended prayers of welcome to the Pope. India, with a population of 1 billion or more, is more than 80% Hindu. The LA Times. Pope calls talks with Iran leader promising. Khatami, a Shiite Muslim, told the Roman Catholic pontiff that he hopes the 2 monotheistic faiths could join to inspire a more equitable world order. As he entered the Vatican, the 78-year-old Pope looked relaxed and pleased as he accepted his visitor's gift. Khatami is now president of the 55-nation Organization of the Islamic Conference. This is Yasser Arafat. He was the leader of Palestine at the time. Notice that he's all smiles as he meets Pope John Paul II. And here's Khatami, the former president of Iran. This is Tariq Aziz. This man was one of Saddam Hussein's top men in his cabinet, that the Pope is on a higher plane than themselves. Who is this? This is Prince Charles and Princess Diana. And who do they represent? The Church of England, who had a big split with Rome many years ago. It's Tony Blair meeting with the Pope. And in case you don't know, brothers and sisters, when Tony Blair left office, but he flew to the Vatican the next day after leaving office to become a priest and a Roman Catholic. Is this man a Christian? No, this man is a communist and former president of the USSR. That this man he is about to shake hands with helped to bring a collapse to, along with Ronald Reagan and the CIA, which was predicted in the Word. Sweden's Crown Princess Victoria meeting with the Pope. The Czech president meeting with the Pope. Nelson Mandela meeting with the Pope. Is this man a Christian? It's Vladimir Putin. Friend, this man is hardcore KGB, but he's at the Vatican meeting with the Pope. The Israeli prime minister meeting with the Pope. Even dictators are meeting with the Pope. The Philippines president, Gloria Arroyo, meeting with the Pope. Vicente Fox, former president of Mexico, meeting with the Pope. Friends, he's even speaking before the United Nations. And when the Pope of Rome speaks, the world listens. How many of you remember former Secretary of State Colin Powell? Where was he at when he was the Secretary of State for this country? He was at the Vatican meeting with the Pope. Former Democratic President Jimmy Carter meeting with the Pope, and this was during his presidency. Former Republican President Ronald Reagan meeting with the Pope. Former Republican President George H.W. Bush meeting with the Pope. Former Democratic President Bill Clinton meeting with the Pope. George W. Bush meeting with the Pope. And notice they're all wearing a black suit. Laura Bush at the Vatican with her daughter, meeting with the Pope. Nancy Pelosi, she's about ready to kiss the hand of Pope Benedict XVI when he made an appearance here in the United States, April of 2008.
This battle is the final conflict of Satan himself to eradicate the Son of God from the minds of men. They're actually saying that this Jesus that is going to come is going to be different from the Jesus that already came. I believe with all my heart that Christianity is in the shaking period. What are we waiting for? A temple? So that the sacrificial system can be inaugurated again, which pointed to a Messiah who has already come? That makes no sense.
Rome's reaction to the Constitution of the United States, of course, was not favorable because the whole papal system was built on the union of church and state.
As our president talks about how we want to bring democracy to all these countries of the world. Well, why doesn't he want to bring a republic to these countries? We were a republic. We were never a democracy.
The Jesuits had really assumed universal political power by 1750.
America was founded as a Christian nation, but it was also founded as an occult nation. And there have always been two parallel forces here in America. One the Christian, one the occult, dating back into the 1600s. And until you understand that, you can't understand anything going on in the world today.
Bacon was the head of Freemasonry and Rosicrucianism.
He had a huge influence through being the chief of the Rosicrucian fraternity at the time. He had a huge influence on the birth of modern Freemasonry.
So the Pope, because he believes he's God on earth, he always dresses in white. And that's why every political visitor to the Pope always dresses in black.
The Orthodox, the Muslims, the Eastern religions, sun worship, Zoroastrianism, all of them bowed down to him.
There's that book, Justin Fulton, that great author, right? Washington on the Lap of Rome. It was written about 1888. Washington on the Lap of Rome, written by this great preacher, Justin Fulton. And it shows how he calls it Rome on the Potomac, completely controlled by the Archbishop of Baltimore. There was a secret wire between Baltimore and the White House telling the president what to do, at least since the days of Grover Cleveland.
Historian Thomas Hobbes says, if a man consider the origin of the great ecclesiastical dominion, he will easily perceive that the papacy is none other than the ghost of the deceased Roman Empire sitting crowned upon the grave thereof. Pope Leo said, we hold upon this earth the place of God Almighty.
Some have come to the conclusion that Rome has changed, that she has repented of her bloody megalomaniac past. But these evidences revealed in the very current acts and views of this system should send a clear signal to the world that Rome never changes.
Friends, whenever they enforce their sun worship day, Sunday worship, whenever the law is enforced in your country, do not accept it. The mark of the beast in their forehead, symbolic in Revelation, your forehead means your decision. And also when Revelation says their right hand means your action will follow your decision once you accept their sun worship day, when it's an enforced Sunday worship. Friends, take a stand. Christ is coming. He loved you so much so that when he was on the cross, Jesus Christ says, I thirst. So whenever you're in temptation, remember when he says, I thirst because of you and I. Order The Great Controversy. Notice the book, The Great Controversy, because it's preparation. It will prepare you by the grace of God.